My name is Mastromattei. I'm currently the manager of community housing and I'm managing a veterans permanent supportive housing building. We have a variety of programs that create a continuum of care that allow us to actually meet every client where they're at. We have an emergency shelter for people who are intoxicated. We have a detox that is just above our shelter. We have housing programs. We have an outreach program. We're basically designed to help anyone with an addiction, and especially people who are experiencing homelessness and addiction. Trauma-informed practice is a holistic approach that begins from a place of understanding that the majority of people who are struggling with addiction have actually experienced trauma in their past, and that trauma is still affecting them today. And at some point, such clients found relief from their symptoms by using a substance, and it's best to use a non-judgmental and a more accepting approach in our work with them. Harm reduction is an approach to substance use behaviors that focuses on lessening the potential for such high-risk behaviors to result in more harm than necessary. Within the harm reduction approach, abstinence is not the first and foremost goal. It's actually health and that person staying alive. A good example is a safe, supervised consumption site, where you have to accept that someone who has already determined that they are going to inject a substance, in order for them to stay alive, it's probably best for them to inject in front of a trained professional with a clean needle and where there's naloxone readily available. So, at Alpha House, we approach every client through a trauma-informed harm reduction lens, in which we recognize that their addiction is almost always a coping mechanism for trauma, and it's actually a survival skill. With that understanding, our approach starts with helping a client feel safe and accepted. We consider what's happened to a person for them to reach this point in their life, and how can we help them to achieve the stability they need for significant healing to begin. We practice cultural safety, meaning we provide an environment that is safe spiritually, socially, emotionally, physically, as well as accepting of one's identity, who they are, and what they need. It's important that we practice cultural safety as well as cultural reconnection, as it's key to our approach's effectiveness. We've done this through our partnerships with the Aboriginal Friendship Centre, working with elders, as well as building our own Indigenous programming right here at Alpha House. In our work, progress with clients would be extremely limited if we did not focus first on building rapport, and we do that right from our first point of contact with an individual. Most of our clients rarely experience trust and acceptance in their relationships, and they were likely deprived of any unconditional positive regard that is so important to their development. Through a trauma-informed harm reduction lens, we approach clients with unconditional positive regard to build the quality rapport needed for effective collaboration with the client on a plan for healing and improving their overall quality of life. In my opinion, progress on a large scale cannot be made without these practices. A person does not necessarily require abstinence in order to maintain housing, and without trauma-informed and harm reduction practices, homelessness would be in a much worse place than it currently is.